Welcome to Inside Marketing with Market Surge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at Market Surge.
Hello and welcome to Inside Marketing with Market Surge. I'm Reed Hansen. I am the Chief Growth Officer at Market Surge and the owner, and delighted to have some special guests with me today. Now, we mostly talk about digital marketing on our podcast, mostly because that's what I do, but and many of my friends come from that and clients, but today I am really excited to do something a little bit different and have Al and Heather join me from Polaris Brand Promotions to talk about in-person marketing and their company and what they do to help brands promote great experiences and use those for marketing experience. Now, I would like to give Heather and then Al a quick chance to introduce themselves and their company, and then we can jump into our discussion. Welcome to the podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Heather, why don't you start?
Hi, so I'm Heather. I'm the Business Development Coordinator for Polaris Brand Promotions. I've been with the company for about 3 years, and I do a lot of hands-on with the marketing, whether it is design work or going to trade shows and representing our company across different avenues.
Fantastic. And then Al?
Hi, I'm Al Schuster. I'm the president, founder, and owner of Polaris Brand Promotions.
Great. So, Al, I understand this Polaris Brand Promotions was founded in 2016. Is that right? I think
Yes, going on near 10 years now.
Wow. Congratulations. Is it so? Do you have like an anniversary blowout planned, a big in-person event?
I was thinking about that, but I actually have to find out the exact date I committed. It was, I was thinking to myself, like, what's the official date? Was it when I incorporated, we got our first client, when I built the website? So I have to pin an actual date, but I have been thinking, and I haven't even shared this with my team, of doing some little happy hour get together, because our entire corporate team is right around the Philadelphia area. We all work remote, but I definitely want to do something to celebrate our anniversary.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep our eyes out for that. Now, you launched 10 years ago, and you, according to the website again, you staffed over 4,000 brand experiences nationwide, which is pretty remarkable. Hard to imagine doing 4,000 of anything. But so, what inspired you to start the company, and what would you say are some of the bigger inflection points or milestones in the past years?
In terms of starting the agency, I had worked part-time for someone else who had been involved in the promotional staffing space, in the alcoholic beverage category specifically. And after working there for a short while, I kind of realized that not only could I expand this into a nationwide agency through really good logistics very quickly, but also I could do it better. And so I decided, you know what? I'm gonna, start my own agency. I started in 2016. Really got our first clients around early to mid 2017, I think it was. And I didn't actually leave my day job, because my background's in accounting and finance, until around June of 2019. Of course, 9 months later, we have a global pandemic, so absolutely perfect timing on my end. But yeah, so that was really, the history of the agency in a nutshell. And big inflection points, I'd have to say, has been our staff. Right after the pandemic, a lot of agencies shut down, a lot of agencies, came up, they launched post-pandemic. I know right after the pandemic, I was really when I got to know Stephanie Crawford, our VP of Operations, and Heather. And, through a promotional program we're running around Philadelphia, Steph came on board as really our first full-time employee about 4 years ago. And then a year later, Heather had been working with us. She came on board, and we recently hired a salesperson, Colin, who came on board about 4 months ago. So really, I love to look at those as like kind of the major milestones, because they not only are they integral to the success of our agency, but they really show the growth that we've had and our ability to add on to our staff.
Wonderful. Well, that's an interesting journey, and you've survived the pandemic. Probably one of the areas of our marketing industry that was hardest hit. I mean, did you actually have to pause, or did you have to? I mean, did you retool, or what did? How did you keep
It
busy
was
during those
more of
years?
a pause than a retool.
Okay. Okay.
I had been involved in real estate, so I had a separate side entity going on that kept me busy.
Okay.
But we tried to pivot, or I tried to pivot, um, because I was before any of the current employees. I tried to pivot into like the influencer space. Got a
Oh,
few
okay.
clients out of it, but not enough to really make a huge difference or a kind of a permanent pivot. Our specialty isn't really the social media marketing or anything. It's really having our team out there meeting face to face with consumers, either in a store or at a large public event, or something very consumer facing where you have that person to person experiential aspect to it.
Okay. No, that is interesting. I that hadn't occurred to me, but I have not been, or there was definitely like a period of my life I just didn't do any in-person events at all. And uh, well, let me jump to Heather real quick. So I understand that you work with thousands and thousands of promotional experts, and then you place in dozens of cities. Now, how do you maintain any semblance of a brand or consistency when you're spread across so many different regions and have so many promotional experts that you're bringing in? Maybe talk about like how you obtain these or you recruit them, and how do you train them?
Yeah, I actually love this question because that is one of the strengths of our company, where we can run campaigns across multi-market areas, whether it's retail or they want to have a pop-up activation, whatever it is. Our brand ambassadors are internally trained, and we work close with them. So before we even hire them, we interview every single one of our brand ambassadors, and we're up close to now 10,000 brand ambassadors in our database, and each one has been personally interviewed. And then when they get hired to work an event to be trained, we use either the marketing materials that are provided by the clients, or sometimes the client wants to be involved and we have that open. We're very
Mm.
open to having the client either be hands-on or hands-off. So we can say we can handle the whole process for you, which includes vetting. So you know that the people who are out there are professional and they got the same training in California as somebody who got on the East Coast. Everybody is on the same page going out to these activations, and they have the same talking points, they have the same goals in mind. They know about the products, whether it's different flavors or not. They know what to say, all the way up to like what it tastes like, if it's something food or beverage, or how it works, if it's something in electronics. We on our side make sure that everybody gets the same treatment. So I really like that because the interviewing process helps us make sure that our brand ambassadors are consistent, as well as being well and knowledgeable, as well as being personable. So, like Al said, I started as one of those brand ambassadors who was in those outdoor activations for Polaris Brand Promotions right after the pandemic. And that's where I met Steph as well, and of course, Al. And as a brand ambassador, and since all of us on the company have that experience, we know who we're looking for. And we have seen all types of different people who are out and doing promo staffing. So we know the type of person who we want to work with and the type of person who will be receptive to the training and to do their research and prep for each event.
So, I guess just a small follow-up question. This is interesting and completely foreign to me, and so I am curious, how many like people do you have to interview or have applied that, and what ratio of those do you like accept and put in the database?
Well, I will say that a lot of the times we try to work with repeat
Okay.
people. So we have a strong core team in many different cities that we will go back to and want to hire them again because we know what they do. We know the results that they get. And especially if it's for the same client and we're doing like every month or something like that, we try to maintain and retain the same people.
Okay.
When we need to break into a new market, when it gets time to be recruiting, we will make sure that first we look maybe if they submit a resume before we get to the interview process, and then we have a set of questions that go forward. And it's to make the determination as is, maybe based off of what the brand is as well.
Mm.
Plus, sometimes their background experience could come into it. So if we have something that is sports related, or if like the person who is hiring us would like somebody to be bilingual, we become more customized in that area.
Got it. Got it. Okay. No, that's helpful and really interesting. So we'll jump back over to Al. Um, Now, I understand that many agencies simply book models for shifts, but Polaris emphasizes hiring ambassadors who take the time to learn the product. Now, what would you say is this onboarding process like? And Heather, feel free to chime in, but to like really ensure that the ambassadors embody the brand.
So the first thing our operations team does when they interview brand ambassadors who are interested in working for us is ask them tell them about us about themselves.
Okay.
The reason is that we really want that mix of that personality and that experience. Because if our brand ambassadors aren't going to engage with us and be friendly and outgoing and ask questions, and they aren't going to be receptive to doing that to the consumer when they're on their own in a store. So in terms of training, we can provide whatever resources our clients see fit, everything from a one-page sell sheet, or we can send them a quiz, or we can have them watch a video that our client produces about the brand or the demo table. They can set up a mock demo table and kind of present everything. We can do everything from that all the way up to like video conferences. We can do like in-person training. Really, we try to customize our training for our brands to make sure that we can do it how whatever works best for them. So what we're really looking for in our brand ambassadors is mostly that enthusiasm, that outgoing personality, and understanding what in their skills and background would make them a good fit. If we don't have someone who has worked with us in terms of or has worked in terms of like brand ambassador experience directly, a lot of times our applicants have 5, 10, 15 or more years of doing brand ambassador work. We kind of make sure they have complementary skills that might make
Mhm.
them a good fit. We love
Okay.
teachers, we like to say, because not only are they usually available nights and weekends, especially during the summer,
Mhm.
but they're used to
Yeah.
talking with people on a day-to-day basis. For instance, we like bartenders for our alcoholic beverage gigs because not only are they used to talking with people, but they're more likely to understand any type of alcoholic beverages that they may be presenting to consumers. They might understand the way the different brands are, the different types of tequila, the different types of whiskey.
Mhm.
So it really is on a case by case basis. But our
Mhm.
agency, we do have kind of a lot of the experience to kind of ask the right questions to make sure that our brand ambassadors are a right fit.
Okay. No, that's great. And and of course comes to mind like potential performers or people in the theatrical
Mhm,
fields, I
mhm.
would probably do really well, just because and maybe their schedule would even allow some flexibility for certain roles. So that 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 is really interesting to me, and so thanks for indulging that specific little rabbit hole. Now, I did want to ask. So going to the numbers now, and we'll start with Heather and Al. Feel free to chime in if you have anything to add. So experiential marketing can be, I guess, at least in my mind, a little bit nebulous, like the return on investment. And so, for instance, like with digital ads, you have a dashboard where you can see exactly how much you spend and how many leads came in and or how many clicks you got. And it's like a hard number, and you can just divide the two, and you've got a cost per click or a cost per lead. Now, experiential marketing, on the other hand, is a touch point. It's a very warm touch point, very human touch point. What How do you help, or uh, have you seen frequently used KPIs in this kind of experiential marketing to measure the success of your services? How are they determining ROI for this kind of marketing
Yeah.
effort?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in a little bit to one of the platforms that we use for our recap
Great.
reporting, which is Pinata. And it has a survey that provides a full detailed recap
Mm,
report after every activation. And so some of the KPIs we look for are how many were sold, maybe how many were already on the shelf to begin with, how many samples were given out,
mm,
how many interactions, also how many people are in the store if it's in a store overall, and then the percentage of people who were interested. Included in that is you're right about the warm touch point because we get the personalized interactions and the actual feedback from the customer.
Mhm.
So sometimes they will make comments about like, oh, they'll ask questions that we then provide to the company so that they can maybe update what people are actually looking for, whether if it is a vegan
Mhm.
product or what the price touch point is. If they decide to run a coupon during the demo, how many people will buy more than normal? What's the store traffic of the during the time range
Mm.
and a bunch of different things about the audience in general. So we like to hit the target audience. They get feedback on gender, if that's applicable, age groups, and then actual feedback from the customers, as well as how many sold during that particular time. And then once you put all of those recaps together, it gives a wider picture of what the demos are doing to increase traffic to the shelf for this particular product.
Okay,
Yeah, and one other
great.
thing
And
to add on real quick is we always try to, thanks, Heather. We always try to, encourage our clients to look at the big picture. The
mm,
main number they're always looking at is how many units were sold, which means how many, it wasn't, first of all, profitable for that individual demo event. Was it worthwhile for the number of units that were sold? But also, we tell our clients to look at the sales a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months after the demo event to see if you saw a noticeable increase in traffic. Because we're not just doing this to get immediate sales, we want to build long-term customer relationships with consumers.
yeah, yeah. And I was going to ask because um, even in digital, we try to think. It's hard to track at times, but we try to think in terms of a lot of people need 7+ touch points with a brand before they make a purchase. And, and I think as I've kind of envisioned my interactions with experiential marketing, say I was in a store and there was a stand and a professional was, or an ambassador was giving out samples or doing a demonstration. I think just by personality, I usually just kind of like look at the side of my eye and walk past. I mean, personality wise, I don't necessarily just want to like make a new friend, but I do remember and I do like record that interaction, and it does like prompt. It does prompt me to think about it for definitely a longer, and it's a more tangible interaction than just seeing it on the shelf. So, yeah, and I assume that like a trailing sales measurement would be a helpful way to measure that impact. Um, so,
That's true. And to jump onto that point, sometimes the client will like to have brochures that are out on the
mm,
table. We'll have people who stop by and they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy it now. I'm going to remember it for later and take a photo." You would never know that unless it's put in the recap
mhm,
report. And so those are like fun little interactions as well. And then sometimes the client also can track, speaking digitally, if there's some sort of call to action, like follow on Instagram for the coupon,
okay.
or fill out this newsletter to get more deals in the future. That's another way to sort of track how many people are coming across along with that. But you're right, it's a lot of touch points. It's the long game, but
Mm,
people like it when they can interact as well, ask personal questions, maybe try a sample, or just see that they're doing a promotion. And then the next time it's on the shelf in front of them, they might be like, you know what? I actually remember this. I remember somebody talking about it in the grocery store. I saw a little people at the table and they all seem to be liking it. One thing about the training that we do is that our team is out there speaking almost the whole time.
mm,
Like we're going to say hi to the people walking
okay.
by. You might not be interested, but we're going to say hi. And offer a sample or offer information. And then while we're handing out the sample or distributing information, we're speaking a little loudly so that people walking by can also hear. So yes, it is always it's for some people it is a personal, actual one-to-one interaction, and some people are gleaning the information
Mhm.
peripherally.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good for introverts like me.
Yeah.
Like the projection, it's like I'd rather just like listen and not have to engage. And so that's that's a good practice. Now, can I ask? It sounds like you do a lot of work with products. I work with both product companies and service companies, and it's okay if the answer is no, but have you done many examples of experiential marketing with service type businesses? Um, Again, totally okay if the answer is no. I'm just kind of curious if that would apply.
Um,
I'll let Al take this, but I will say one of my first interactions was for a casino.
Okay.
So less a product and more like a service
Sure.
and different things like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I have to say, yeah, it's definitely a lot more products than services.
Hmm.
I know my personal favorite activation, I think the one where, it wasn't unexpected or record breaking or anything, but the one that I think would be one of our largest and most successful is we work with Safeway, which is a grocery store chain kind of in the Mid Atlantic region, where we staff all the Baltimore Ravens home games, an area called Ravens Walk. We have two tents that are like, they make up a 10-foot by 20-foot footprint where we have a spin wheel or a Plinko board, and we have, branded merch and giveaway items. And it's awesome, especially with the kids, because it's really cool. We have like, hats and, koozies, hand sanitizers, like little necklaces that the kids really enjoy. But it's really fun because we really get to engage. Now, obviously, Safeway sells products, but they kind of provide a service in being a retail location, like Heather was mentioning with the casino. But yeah, I would have to say that, that's one area where we have assisted our clients who might provide more of a service than just a straightforward, product sale.
Okay. Okay. No, that's really helpful. And now I assume you would offer a service to help brainstorm with a client if they approached you and say like, what could we do to make this experience most sticky or memorable? Is that you typically part of the process?
It can be. We have had clients who, they've come to us and said, hey, we know we have an activation. What can you recommend for us? And we have strategic partners who are fabricators for like trade show booths,
Mm.
digital signage, social media, influencers that we've developed relationships with over the years. So we can act as their full service experiential partner through other, supplier partners and strategic partners that we work with. But yeah, we always love brainstorming with our clients, and especially when they're looking to launch a program, it's a matter of, okay, if they've never done this before, we really like to provide guidance. What's
Mm.
the best promotional materials and how do we give them out? More doesn't necessarily always equal better, or more doesn't always generate higher sales. So any advice we can, we'll give to our clients during the onboarding process. And we love to give feedback as the program is going on because our brand ambassadors get a ton of great feedback from consumers. The brand ambassadors pass on to us, and we share that with the clients.
Okay. No, that's great. Now, technology is ever present and the world, changes, I guess, is a constant no matter what field we're in. But could you maybe comment on trends that you're seeing for coming seasons and years that might be applicable for experiential marketing? Probably a good question for Heather. Are there any things you're looking forward to? Any different kind of settings for this experiential marketing? Are conferences still like a very viable
Yeah.
field? Yeah.
Yes, actually. So there's a bunch of different things that we offer. Of course, we do the in-store demos
Hmm.
and we do trade shows and
Hmm.
convention staffing, but we also do pop-up activations.
Okay.
So maybe that's a food truck that is traveling. Tours that are cross-country would be
Okay.
something really cool to engage with. And then there are aspects of this where technology is being used more and more. So like VR headsets, and then the brand ambassador is like walking you through the experience.
Okay.
There are so many more experiences that are out there and we can be assisting. So even if we're not sampling, we could be, helping to make sure that the activation is still going well and that the experience is happening.
Interesting.
That's definitely one area that I like because we get to then also experience it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. And I've thought about, AI is just such a big topic for, marketing in general. And it does make like a lot of the physical interactions a lot more novel and maybe even more poignant than they used to be. So it's almost like AI may open up some more opportunity for experiential marketing. So Al, you mentioned you do review and you do like information gathering and sharing with your clients. Um, how is there? Do you have a refined process to collect that feedback and to like synthesize it and make what you do better? Do you have a good process for that you like?
Um, every client is different and unique.
Mhm.
As Heather mentioned with Pinata, with the recap reporting, it'll have all the metrics that our brand ambassadors are expected to fill in. They do have an area where they can provide consumer, or, feedback, like they thought it was too sweet, they thought it was too dry, or they would have preferred it with a mixer or
Mm.
something like that. And our clients do have the opportunity to read them. Our operations department and myself review all the recap reports once a week before the client can view them. Just because for instance, if a brand ambassador says, "Oh, the event was amazing," and they didn't sell any product in 3 hours, we kind of bounce it back. It's like, can you give a little more feedback as to maybe why anyone didn't buy anything if it was such a great
Mm.
event? Again, it's not only the sales but also the brand awareness that we're raising too. Um, so that being said, we have had clients who, we have tweaked things as we've gone on. We had very recently, we had a client in the spirit space who decided that they wanted to have a little bit more interaction with their gin products. So they had us purchase a tonic along with the gin at the tasting location, and we made little mini gin and tonics. That was, sample cup half filled with gin, half filled with tonic. We're not all mixologists here. So, something very simple. But we started to give that out. And I mean, I did one of these samplings myself. Heather, myself, Stephanie, and Colin, the other members of our team, we all still go out and we do demos because that's how
Okay.
most of us got into this industry. And I know I did
Yeah.
one recently for this client. And I can tell you that hands down, when they had the offer of, would you like the gin straight up or would you like it with a little bit of tonic to make a gin and tonic? Most of them chose the gin and tonic. So we will
Mm.
work with our clients to review that feedback and to see, how the customers, maybe they asked for, a lot of them asked for a mixer or something, and we can tweak the program that way. But again, every client's unique and different. Every product is unique and different. So, we do really handle it on a case by case basis, but we're always actively looking to make these programs as successful as possible and more successful over time.
Now, so probably a question for both of you since you've been doing this for many years. What experiential tactic do you often find is a little bit overrated or overhyped versus those that are more effective but less thought of? Because I imagine, in most people's business, you get like a lot of requests over and over again, and you're like, just, uh, I hear what you're saying, but it's not a good idea. Do any examples of that come to mind?
Do you want to jump? You want to
One
hop on
area
this one?
Yeah, one area that I can think of is when a client comes, and Al sort of hinted at this, less is more. In some cases where they want us to go to a grocery store and set up maybe a giant banner and have signage and have this and that all over their table, which we can say, sure, yes, but it's a little overrated because you want to make sure that you are keeping your costs
Mm.
down, especially if this is one of your first campaigns. It is easy enough for us to provide a lot of those things for you. Keep it simple. People really do like that interaction. Like you said, personal touch. AI can never replace that. So,
Right.
thinking a little bit more outside of trying to put so much in front of the consumer's face versus like letting your product speak for itself in some cases.
No, that's a good example. Yeah. Anything, Al? Anything else come to mind?
No, I mean, Heather really hit the
Okay.
nail on the head,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the logistics of moving expensive supplies around. If you do have a large banner, a large setup, what we always advise to our clients is, when we start off in a market and we have all of our demos set up, let's go through the first round with just the basic supplies. When we find out who our best selling brand ambassadors are, who the most reliable ones are, the
Mm.
ones who can work the most shifts, let's transfer the really expensive materials to them because they're going to be utilized maybe a little bit better. It's a lot less risk if the brand ambassador never works with us again, getting those materials back from them or having them get them to another brand ambassador or have to ship them back. So we always like to have the established program and our best brand ambassadors who we want to give the best supplies to. But before that, it's really just simple, the product on the table, the giveaway items, maybe like a small postcard size recipe on it. Some very simple, easy materials that our brand ambassador can work with to really enhance the brand experience rather than just give the sample, give things of value, give information, really present the brand as best as possible.
Well, that's great. I love, I love being able to come to a client and say, you can get better ROI from, more efficient effort. And it sounds like that's the case even in person. Now, what's the future for your company and for experiential marketing? What do you see in 2027 or 2020 or 2030? What are big goals that you have, and what do you see as the future of experiential marketing?
Heather, any thoughts before I jump in?
I would say one area that I would be looking forward to is being able to staff a bunch of different tables or booths at a trade show, maybe even being the preferred vendor for an event where we are handling everything.
Mm.
Because we are brand ambassadors, but we're also support staff. We can be greeters, we can be instructors, we can be line monitors, we can do almost anything. So, what would be really cool is to be able to expand people's mindset of what experiential really is, and that having those different interactions with professional brand ambassadors representing your brands, and then in person, and then bringing that to the digital world. We do a lot of stuff where we will have them follow, like I said, follow on social media, follow along. Maybe the event is both in person and it continues on in the digital world, is a really cool aspect that I think would be nice for clients to jump into.
Awesome.
And in terms of our industry, I would have to say incorporating new technology in different and unique ways. Not just AI for the sake of AI, but for instance, more augmented reality, more ways to engage with consumers both at the event and after the event. So incorporating those level of technologies, I think is going to be the next big change you see in any type of experiential activations. For our agency, we are in a very strong growth mode right now. We are looking at adding new services offerings to our portfolio. We're looking at building our client base. We're looking at increasing our staff. A lot is on the table in the next 5 years. A few of them are a little top secret. We've got a few exciting plans in the works that we can't share now because I don't want to make any big, ambitious promises here. And then all of a sudden, hey, I heard a podcast, you're going to launch this thing and you never did. It's like, well, we got to revisit that idea. But we do have a lot of exciting things that I think are going to really differentiate us from other agencies beyond just the value and the quality that we bring to our clients' programs. I think it's a lot going to be more in terms of a lot of new ways to engage with consumers, and hopefully we will be back on another episode soon to announce some big things. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, no, that sounds very exciting, and definitely something to look forward to. Technology is always does present some opportunities, and especially, I think they're especially interesting in person whenever they can be applied in face-to-face interactions. So that's so cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you tell us if listeners are interested in engaging you, whether for advice or for engaging your services, where can they find you?
We are always happy to answer questions, so feel free to reach out. Our website is polarisbrandpromotions.com. There's a form you can fill out with any questions, not just a quote request, but maybe if you're thinking about an event in the future and you want some feedback, we're all ready to help you with that. And our socials are also Polaris Brand Promotions.
Well, easy enough. Well, please reach out if you are interested in experiential marketing, want to do something face to face, and I think this is a great team to work with. Please contact Polaris Brand Promotions. Thank you again, and we hope to be in touch again soon.
Thank you, Reed.
Reed.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to marketsurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's marketsurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.